This is the library, and this looks pretty meager, but actually there were very, very few books available to the students. Sometimes the only books they had were the ones they brought from home. Later on, of course, there was a lending library that went through, but books were precious things. We have this set up so when the kids come, they can have a bunch of different experiences. We have a set of slates so they can practice writing with chalk on the slates and then erasing them. You'll see in the front of the room here, if you look, a display of cursive writing. They spent hours and hours on penmanship. That was a highly prized skill, and what we do here over on this side is we have cursive paper set out, and in many of the schools today they don't teach them cursive, so we practice making at least the letters of their names so they can see what their signature would look like. These are little chairs for the smaller students, and in this particular building we know that at one time, well, the stove's in the wrong place. You can see here where this round circle is, that's where the potbelly stove actually was. And behind here was a little table. And the smallest children then would come up and do some of their work at the table. This was also a place, if a student got sick during the course of the day, they could kind of lay down here and be away from the rest of the students. Come see our potbelly stove here. This one could either be a wood burner or a coal burner. Probably they used coal because it was more efficient. Most of the one-room schools did have either a pump organ or a piano. Music was important. Another thing they probably had was a crank record player, a Victrola, and there was a whole curriculum that was available to teachers on record, so their students had a pretty good music education as well. The teacher then had sometimes kindergarten and sometimes not kindergarten, but 1st through 8th grade, and she or he taught them all of the subjects. So can you imagine having to prepare lesson plans for all of those subjects for all 8 grades? What we have on the walls now is when our visitors come into Old Threshers, we of course greet them and ask them to sign our guest book, but we also ask them to put a pin on the map here where they're from, and by the end of the day on Monday, this board is covered with pins representing all the places that people came from.